I saw on Twitter like you like to call him Bo Vick.
Bo Vick. Bo Vick. Yeah, man. Bo out there like deceptively really moving on cats, and they don't expect it. But like you said, I used to not like Bo. He's at Auburn, and they
Uh-huh.
beat us at Oregon. And then he came to Oregon. I'm like, cool. I'm a Bo Nix fan. And then we drafted. I'm like, oh man, I'm a Super Bowl Nix fan now.
Hello, and thank you for joining us here on Broncos and Bourbon. I am your host, Phil Milani. We've got a great episode in store for you today. TJ Ward joins the program, the former Broncos strong safety, and by strong I mean strong. I mean, this guy was laying the wood back there at the safety position, and really brought a physicality and an edge to that Super Bowl 50 team. And we get into all kinds of different things in our conversation here. I mean, we talk about Bo Nix, we talk about his time reunited with the no-fly zone last week for that Falcons game. They all got together and were at the game, and they were celebrated there by the Broncos. And I talked to him a little bit about that. I talked to him about playing the Raiders, what he thought about that rivalry, because he's a Bay Area guy. And then, of course, we got into some Bo Nix talk. I mean, TJ Ward played for the Oregon Ducks. Very familiar with Bo Nix coming out, so I was interested to see if maybe Bo was exceeding his expectations. Just seeing him so much in college, what he would think about him being a pro. And I think that he had some really great points there, and really gave a lot of credit toward what Sean Payton has done, coaching a rookie quarterback and bringing him along. So I think that you'll really enjoy this episode. And of course, TJ is a very funny guy, and so we had a lot of laughs as well. So I hope that you enjoy the episode. Our nightcap on this episode will be Maker's Mark, one of the most famous bourbons out there, very popular, certainly a lot of marketing, and you know it by that red wax at the top there. So we'll do a review of that after my conversation with TJ Ward. Spent 3 seasons with the Denver Broncos out of his 8-year career, a 2-time Pro Bowler, second team All-Pro, and I think that you'll really enjoy this conversation. TJ, hey, thanks for taking some time here to join the program. How you been, man?
Been good. How you doing?
Good, good, man. It was great seeing the whole no-fly zone reunite last week at the game. How was that hanging out with all those old guys?
Oh man, it was amazing. We had a time. We definitely had a time. It was good seeing everybody. It's been a couple years. You go by, you look up, you haven't seen somebody 2, 3 years. But nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Same guys, same energy, same crew.
I, I imagine the stories get a little bit bigger, huh? Maybe some lies, a little bit of fabrication.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many stories, more forgetting than um, getting bigger, but definitely so many stories, so many memorable moments that we've had together in those 2, 3 years while I was there. So amazing time.
So do you guys hang out nowadays that much, or it sounds like maybe not everybody gets together all that
No, we
often?
really don't. Big events, certain things like the Broncos bringing us together, but guys are so busy with their families, their kids. Just so much going on. You look up, the years going by, and that's just how it goes, man. Kids start getting bigger, and your time is took up. Like mine is 4. He's just now playing baseball. It's the funniest thing I ever seen.
You enjoy being a dad? You
Hey,
like
man,
you like being hanging out?
I love it. I love it. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me, and it's so entertaining. It's so fun, rewarding, but it's challenging because I got a son, you got a kid, and he's the same gender as you. He's gonna be dead on you most of the time. So I see so much of myself in him, and it's hard to get mad. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, man. They say some crazy stuff too, man. They make you laugh a lot, huh?
yeah, yeah, that part for sure.
um, Earlier this year, I had Aqib on the program, and I asked him who was his favorite teammate throughout his whole career. He said you. He said that you guys were cut from the same cloth. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Keith's my brother. You know, we all brothers. But I think everybody kind of noticed me and Keeb have a type of relationship that, what he just said. Like, we cut from the same cloth. We're from similar places. Our families are similar, and we just operate um, very similarly, and we rock together. So, yeah, that's my boy, man. That's my dog for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was happy to hear that. So when you guys were all together back watching the Broncos whoop up on the Falcons, what'd you think about this year's team?
Man, we look amazing. It like it was the day couldn't have went much better, right? We had the celebration, the recognition, and did the flag planting, the second quarter intro. It was really a amazing day. And then the Broncos to perform how they did, the defense and offense, everybody making plays, really. But talking with those guys, give them some small words of wisdom. Even them being able to see what we accomplished and motivating them, and you could kind of see like they were intrigued and interested. And I don't know if it gave them an extra jolt to see us and to like know that they're on that path. They can get to that Super Bowl and get in the playoffs this year and do some great things. So it was pretty good to see.
You see like that kind of potential in this Broncos team, even if it's not this year, like going all the way, but like, hey, some of the, foundational pieces are there.
Yeah, absolutely. The chemistry, that's the first foundational piece, right? They get along. You can tell like they play for each other. They play within the scheme. They play within the defense. No one's mad anytime during the point of not getting the ball, mad at the play calling, decision man. You don't hear none of those rattling. So being a young team and having success right now and not hearing any of that noise is going to make them even better in the next 2-3 years. Like, I really see them being the top of the division for a minute, and getting back to that Bronco era of, those continuous conference championships.
How does that work when there's no, infighting with the team and stuff? Where does that come from? How does that possible?
It's upstairs, it's the front office. They do a great job of mending these personalities and these people that have to come together for one cause. And, you know, shout out to them because that's their job, right? Their job is to mold this team along with the coaches, but it's to get the ingredients, right? You get the ingredients and let the coach cook.
That was like one thing about that Super Bowl 50 team. I mean, you guys were really close. And even all these years later, you hear all these stories about that year's team, the stuff that you guys did away from the field. I mean, was that your perception of what happened that year?
Yeah, that was a special year. We had a little of everything involved in being successful that year. A little luck, hard work, everything. We pulled everything out of that year. Everything we could, every resource we had, we pulled, and we needed it. But it takes that. It takes that, and year in, year out, to be at the top.
Yeah.
Um, it takes some giving and taking with that roster and coaches and players. So, um, it definitely is a rest.
You see, this year's Broncos team, they have like a little bit. I mean, I don't want to compare them to your guys' defense, obviously, but you see some of the pieces there where the secondary is really strong and the pass rush is really strong. Those two key ingredients, is what led you guys all the way to winning the Super Bowl. What do you like about this year's secondary? Like, you had a chance to chat with a guy like Pat Surtain.
Yeah, I mean, Pat is first off, the size of Pat is kind of impressive when you walk up on him. It's like, oh, this is a big kid, and that's what me and Talib was saying. Yeah, Pat, man, he's a big kid, and he's smart. We talked about, his relationship with his dad. What it was like growing up because me and Key, we got sons, so we were trying to learn what he was taught, how his dad, really developed him throughout the years because only experience I have is my dad, and I want to know how to, project that upon my son. So, yeah, but they're scrappy. They're
Mm-hmm.
smart and scrappy. That's the first thing. You gotta be smart and then you got to play with, relentless effort. And I think Vance has done a great job getting them to play that way.
Yeah, they fly around, man. You can see like all the turnovers that they're producing and stuff. It's been fun to see that side of the ball excel. And then on the other side, Bo Nix, man. It seems like this whole city has Bo Nix fever. What do you think about this rookie quarterback?
He's playing amazing. He's playing amazing. He's mature. We all knew he was an older quarterback coming out, so he should be mature. But being a coach's son, you can tell he's all about you know doing things the right way, being coachable, and just learning. And he's doing an amazing job. He's staying within the system. Coach Payton is doing a great job of going slow with him, running the ball, keeping defenses off balance with the screens. And, I've done a million interviews, and I always talk about running the ball. Like, you got to be able to run the ball first. And without that, then you're dead in the water. You see these teams got these young quarterbacks, Caleb and
Jaden Daniels.
Ja- well, Jaden, he has a run game as well. Well, he had one earlier, but just trying to get these kids to go out there with bad offensive line and just throw the ball around is not going to be um, efficient. It's just
Mhm.
not. You're asking too much. Like Mike Tomlin said, I heard him say, these coaches are relinquishing the responsibility of coaching and developing. They want to get these guys in right now and expect them to be Pro Bowl caliber players. And that's just, I don't know what happened in that process, but my belief is that you're hiring young coaches with no experience and that have never played the game. So how are they going to coach an NFL player? Like it's more than X's and O's. I remember when the league was full of coaches that were 45, 50 plus. There was no coaches under 50, right? Because it takes experience, it takes the reps, I don't care how smart you are. It takes time with dealing with people. You're a head coach. Your job is not just to coach football. You have to deal with people and to make help all these people come under one umbrella, work well together. And I think that's what we had with Cool. Cool found a way to control all these personalities and have one understanding that no one is bigger than his team. And coaches are just too young. They're just too young.
You see Sean Payton, I mean, just being around the team a little bit there, you see the way that he kind of commands their respect and their attention. And you think that's a lot of the success with Bo is just how Sean's been able to, slowly bring him along.
Look at the track record. Look at Coach Payton's record. You have no choice but to respect that. But when you got a coach that was in college last year and this is his first head coaching job, it's like, bro, what? I'm 32. You 36. You ain't played a game. You ain't been in the NFL locker room. You just been coaching. How you gonna tell me anything? I'm a grown man. How you gonna tell me anything? Period. Like I'm
Yeah.
35. You 36. Like it's just like that. It's not there. Like even I talk to Lieb all the time about when McVay was there and with LA, and it was a fun environment, like super fun. But when it's time to knuckle down and tell Von Miller and tell Aqib Talib and tell TJ Ward, these strong personalities, hey, sit your ass down or you're gonna be suspended. Can he do that? We're
Hmm.
winning. It's fun. Y'all got a team full of all stars. It's fun. Like that's young and fun. But when it's time to really get down and do the dirty work and really communicate things that have to be communicated across, can they do it? And I think that's where the lack and you see the failure in a lot of these young coaches.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate some of the guys who've been around for a long time, like Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton, those kind of guys. I
Mhm.
mean, just the knowledge that they must have, having done it for so long. The players respect that then, huh? Like you can tell when you're playing for a coach who gets it.
For sure. Oh man. It was a boy when I went to Tampa. Let me
Yeah.
oh
Yeah,
my,
right away. You're just like, oh.
right away. They're
Hmm.
not trying to win here.
Uh-huh.
It was night and day. But I'm so lucky and blessed that I went from Cleveland, which is not a good organization, and I dealt with the bullshit first. Because if I would have been in Denver and then went, like I talked to Roby about, he's like, TJ, you told me that this is not the same. I'm like, bro, I told you, man. Y'all live here and it's lovely. It's so lovely. But when you get to that dark side of the NFL and these bad teams, it can be miserable.
Yeah, it's a grind. I mean, every week you're putting your body out there on the line, and when you're not winning, man, it just creates a bad culture, huh?
for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that makes it a tough. You being an Oregon guy, I'm sure that you've seen Bo come along a little bit here. Has he surpassed your expectations for this year? Like, did you know he would even be this good?
No, he's playing really well. I knew he wouldn't be bad,
Mhm.
put it like that, right? But he's playing really well. And like I said before, that hats off to Sean and Bo. Um, Sean's putting the game plans and putting in Bo in positions to be as successful as possible.
Uh,
And
I saw on Twitter like you like to call him Bo Vick.
Bo Vick, Bo Vick, yeah, man, Bo out there like deceptively really moving on cats, and they don't expect it. But like you said, I used to not like Bo. He's at Auburn, and they
Uh-huh.
beat us at Oregon. And then he came to Oregon. I'm like, cool. I'm a Bo Nix fan. And then we drafted. I'm like, oh man, I'm a Super Bowl Nix fan now. So yeah,
Do,
Bo Vick,
are
Bo.
Bo Vick, yeah, for sure. I love it. Are those running quarterbacks guys like that who like, hey, maybe you don't think that they're quite that athletic when you're at that safety position, they come up on you pretty quick, huh?
Yeah, those are the guys. Like they're runners, but they're not runners. It's like the Russell Wilsons, right? They're really pocket passers, but they will get out and run. The Herberts, who is it, like Geno Smith, like those guys, right? They're
Mhm.
athletic, but they don't always use their athleticism. And then you get to third downs and they get to running or second and longs. Those are the worst.
Yeah,
Those.
that it's always amazing to me because like I see like somebody like Bo, and then he comes up to like a safety like someone who's as athletic as you are, and then he could just like make you miss so easily. I'm like, how is that possible?
I think we may have to put Bo up there. Like, I don't think he's in the Herbert category. I think he's definitely in the Hurts,
Uh-huh.
um, Murray, Lamar. He's in that. He may be the only white guy in there, but he's for
Yeah.
sure in that group.
You talk about white guys. Did you hang out with Riley Moss at all? Like, are
Nah,
you
I didn't
surprised?
see Riley, man. Oh, I actually dapped him up on the sideline when they were warming up, but I didn't really get to talk to him. But he's playing out his mind too. Like I said, these kids are tall, man. I don't know what they putting in the water.
They're big
But me
dudes,
and
huh?
Kristen Lee was like, is it us or are we short or are they that tall or is it because they in pads? And I kept saying it's because they in pads and like we looked tall when we were on the field because I used to get some of those same remarks like, oh,
Mhm.
you look shorter. Like, it's just the uniform. But yeah, they look like some trees out there.
You put on that helmet, man. Yeah, you do look really huge out there.
Yeah.
Um, with Riley, like, why do you think that position? There's like no white guys, who start at that at like cornerback or like you just
But
rarely see it.
I don't think that has any like really correlation to white guys not being able to play the position. I think something happened in the league, and you know how the league is, man. It's monkey see, monkey do. One team was like, "Oh, two teams, we're not gonna have no white cornerbacks," and then it just
Yeah.
like snowballed. But I definitely don't think it happened because of lack of ability for them to play that position.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think maybe this is honestly what I think will happen, right? They always bring up Jason Sehorn, and where the game was when Jason Sehorn was a corner was completely different from where it's at now. So those guys that may have been corners transition to safety, right?
Hmm.
Because the position got smaller, corners got smaller, so everything kind of pushed back. So I think that's really what happened. All those white corners just kind of became free safeties.
Interesting. Got it. Got it. You talk about like being on the sideline and comparing your era to this generation now. Do you think you could play in the league the way that you played? Could you play now, TJ? Just because the game is so different and you were so physical when you played.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be at corner. I mean, I started at corner at Oregon. Only reason I went to safety because I was so physical and I had my knee injury. But
Hmm.
I wouldn't have ballooned up to 212 my last year. I would have stayed at 200 pounds and played corner. But yeah, absolutely, or free safety.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I was a free safety in college too. I never played strong safety until like the last 4 games, 5 games of my college career. And I
Okay.
played my entire pro career at strong safety, coincidentally. But yeah, I was a corner and free safety in college.
Okay. All right. So you got that skill set. You could have adjusted your game a little
Yeah.
bit.
Well, I mean, I kind of adjusted towards the end anyway. Like I
Uh,
wasn't getting nobody up top.
yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about your Ducks? Huh? The number one team in the country, man. They're gonna get this thing done.
Man, you know what? My teams are rolling. I'm having a great football season. Broncos rolling, Ducks rolling. You know, we both finish off. I'm just asking we get in the playoffs for the Broncos and hopefully could win, get a playoff win. It will be amazing. And then, of course, the Ducks, we got to win the Natty. This is the year. We've been consistently the best team in college football. We have the best defense. I feel we have the best quarterback. Well, I don't want to say the best quarterback. We got top 3 quarterback, though, for sure. And offensive line and defensive line, man, playing out their minds. You know, it starts there. So I think we
Yeah.
got a great chance. I like our odds to win it all.
When y'all beat Ohio State, that I think that proved to a lot of people like, oh, this team's for real. So
Yeah.
that was
Ohio,
huge.
they're out here in Vegas bothering me. I seen a few fans. They're like, oh, we're going to get you in Indianapolis. Hey, man, look, just get there. You got Indiana today or
Yeah.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Worry about yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Worry about yourself.
And you think that this Broncos team can do it, huh? You think that they can get to the playoffs this year?
I do. I definitely do. We get Kansas City at home. We get the Raiders this weekend. The Chargers, they're going to be I feel they'll be the toughest matchup for us, just matchup wise, because they got some guys that's flying around over there. Their offense and Herbert is playing pretty well. But yeah, for sure. If we don't win the division and take second, get a wild card, yeah, I think.
Okay.
But we got to get Kansas City this second time, and we need a little help from the Chargers.
Yeah, yeah. And then the Raiders this week. What was that like when you were playing the Raiders? Wearing the Broncos uniform. That rivalry that still existed when you played.
Absolutely. Going to the Oakland Coliseum. I'm born and raised in the Bay,
Yeah.
so the first football game I ever been to was a Raider game. And that environment, it sucks that they're in Vegas because that black hole, that Oakland Coliseum, pulling up on the bus, the tailgaters. Oh, man, the nostalgia. And, it's just getting more corporate, man. Everything is more corporate and weeding out the normal person that really just does things for the love of it. Everything's about the dollar. So it is what it is, but that's gone.
Yeah, being from the Bay, then you that sucks, huh? Like these teams are leaving Oakland. That's gotta suck for people who are from there.
Yeah, it does suck. Oakland has definitely had some turmoil in the last 10 years, last decade, man. They're going through a lot.
I did want to ask you one thing. You're talking about college football here. What do you think about Travis Hunter? Aqib says he could play at both positions in the NFL. You think so too?
See, this is a conversation we had as well. We talked about this for about 30 minutes back and forth. And as good as friends and as close as me and Aqib are, we rarely agree on anything. Like, it's always a debate. It's healthy. But
you're like brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my thing is, yes, he has the talent to play both ways in the league. But if you want to be a good player and a productive NFL player, you have to choose one. You have to choose one. Now, if he wants to play 3 years and 3 or 4 years and play both ways, and that's great. But if you want to be a Hall of Fame caliber player, as I know he wants to be, he has to pick one.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to be a good player that plays both ways, be a good player that plays both ways. But if you want to be Hall of Fame, I believe he should play corner.
And it's harder to stay healthy if you're playing all those plays too, right? I mean, you got longevity.
Do it in college. You're playing in the Big 12. Half the season you're playing against D1 AA's. When you got a TJ Ward trying to take your head off every week on offense, and then on defense you lined up against Debo Samuel, and then one week you got DK Metcalf, and the next week you got, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, some dudes, some
grown
men.
Mentally.
Yeah.
You know how much prep it takes to get ready for the other side of the ball?
Yeah, impossible. Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard for him to do that too. But maybe like five, 6 plays a game, maybe something like that.
Yeah, something like. I mean, there's this. Trust me, NFL has had players more athletic and more talented than
Mm.
Travis.
Okay. All
You
right.
know, it's been 100 years, but he's being allowed to do these things and he's being successful. He's a great athlete, but he's not the first of his kind.
Yeah. 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 I mean, guys like Aqib played a little both ways, in college.
Yeah,
So
keep down, so keep underplayed what he did for the sake of the argument, but Keeb knows how much ability he has and how hard it would have been to
yep.
do both.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Now I got 5 questions about you. I call this segment Phil's Five. Okay. So this is all about you. And the first one: who's your favorite teammate that you ever played with?
Yeah, I'm backdoor Keeb.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Who's the best opponent you ever went up against?
The best opponent I ever went up against. Oh man. I'm trying to think. College, probably the Patriots.
Yeah, like a
But
guy like Gronk. Like, is there one player
yeah.
who you're like, man, this
Oh
guy was tough
yeah.
to go?
One player? No, man. The one player for me was Gates, man. I couldn't stand Antonio Gates.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
like that basketball player mentality, that kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
so wide. And him and Philip had this relationship where it was just 3rd and 6, 3rd and 4. They're just gonna dump it, run the pivot, let him wide body. And I couldn't. I mean, most of the time, if I had him covered, but it was the ones where he just boxed me out. But yeah, him or Grunt, those two for sure.
okay, okay. Do you have a favorite play from your career?
My favorite play would be my pick six when I was in Cleveland. Sorry, Broncos, it wasn't with the Broncos,
No,
but
it's
that kind of got me to Denver. Right, there was a national televised game Thursday night. We played the Bills, picked it to win the game, and next year I was in Denver.
man. Anytime you're
All
in
pro,
the
all pro. That was
yeah,
all pro play.
yeah.
National, and that got me my all pro for sure.
When you're in the end zone, I mean, it's hard to top that, right?
Yeah,
What's the best? I think I know the answer to this one, but the best team you played on?
14 Broncos, 15 Super Bowl, right?
15 Broncos, 16 Super Bowl.
16
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
Bowl.
Super Bowl 50. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Man, you were so close to being MVP in that one too, man. Like
yeah.
I mean, do you ever think about that? Like, hey, just like if you scooped that and scored, something like that, you would have been the guy.
Yeah, I always think about that. Um, Maybe too much. But you know what? Hey, God makes things possible for the reason that He does. Because I don't know if I could have handled myself being Super Bowl MVP. I had enough fun just winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Now,
for
put
real.
Super Bowl MVP on my name that summer may have been bad business for me. So yeah, I'm probably better off not having that title.
Couldn't have handled it. Okay. Can you believe it's almost been 10 years since that team?
You know what? I can't believe it. We were talking about that in 10 years. Amazing. Amazing. Time flies. But
Wow.
beautiful thing. Yeah, man. Blessing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then the last one here is what's a favorite lesson you ever learned from a coach?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, man.
Even like younger coaches, older coaches, whatever.
Yeah, I think from my coach in high school, Coach Bob Laddister, man, just accountability, discipline, and accountability, right? At a young age, you've been in high school 15, 16, 17, 18, and you're not really understanding how certain decisions affect yourself and the greater team. And I think being at De La Salle, we had a tremendous amount of accountability and responsibility for not only ourselves but for our teammates at that stage in life, and at stage of life, stage of football, and yeah, that right there for sure.
Yeah, legendary program there, man. So yeah, that makes sense. Pick something from that time. And now that you've been out of the league a little bit here, do you have any career advice that you would give to somebody? Maybe they're thinking about retiring after this year, or maybe this is their first fall away from football. Do you have anything that, like, any words of wisdom you'd tell somebody, like, if you could go back your last year playing, what's some advice you would give someone like that?
My advice is, yeah, I've kind of said this a few times to some guys, is don't get discouraged by not finding something right away.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you do find something that you really want to put your passion towards, you're going to have your ups and downs. Like, your success in football didn't come without, ups and downs, hurdles. So why would you expect your next phase of life to come without those things as well? And just remember how hard you worked in the game to be a pro, and work as hard in that other realm you're doing, and you'll be all right.
That's awesome. That's great advice, man. I think that's a good advice for anybody who's, just hey, stick with it, work hard, and good things will happen. Well, hey, TJ, it was awesome catching up with you, man. I'll let you run here. I know you got a busy schedule, so I really appreciate your time, and it was awesome catching up with you.
All right, Phil. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I had a good time.
My thanks to TJ Ward, the two-time Pro Bowler, second-team All-Pro strong safety, spent 3 years with the Broncos, 8 years in the NFL. And, man, we had a lot of laughs there, and he's not shy about sharing his opinion on some things. And, hey, that's all you can ask for a guest on a podcast. So really appreciated how candid he was. And, I think that you talk to a lot of these former players, they've got a lot of respect for Sean Payton. And, that was certainly evident with what TJ Ward was saying there. And, I think that is true. One of the things that, in my experience, players really appreciate is honesty, and they appreciate when the coach, you can just tell, okay, this guy's got it, and I think in my experience, when you're around teams that they feel like they've got a chance to win and they got a chance to do something special, that really goes a long way. And so when you feel like, hey, man, maybe my quarterback doesn't have it, my coach doesn't have it, it really spirals and it hurts team culture. And I think guys know when it's there right off the bat. And so being genuine and obviously having the credentials that Sean Payton has, it really does go a long way. And hearing TJ talk about that, it's very clear. So really appreciate what he had to say there, and even great stuff on his Ducks, and also facing the Raiders this week. And yeah, I mean, when you are around Pat Surtain, he's a big dude. And when he gets moving, he really gets moving. So really funny to hear what some of these old guys think about this year's Broncos team. As for the game this week, I think the Broncos take care of business. I know that they've never won in Vegas. They've never won playing in that Death Star there. So I think that that's another item that they check off the box this year. And really no reason that they shouldn't be able to take care of business in this game. The Raiders have lost a bunch of games in a row. They haven't won a game since the Broncos beat them the first go around. So, I think that what you learned with that Browns and Steelers game on Thursday night, that anything is capable. But as long as a snowstorm doesn't bust out there in the middle of the dome in Las Vegas, I think that the Broncos, if they come with the right mindset, they should be able to take care of business this week. So let's get to our nightcap. And this week it is Maker's Mark. I think that you could recognize this bottle really from anywhere, a lot of the commercials, but when you walk into a store, you notice this dipped wax seal at the top. It sort of gives it it's all marketing, right? But it kind of gives it like, hey, this is important. Look, they went out of their way to seal this thing. That's the same like with wine, like they wouldn't have sealed this with wax if it wasn't a good wine, so I think that that's sort of part of it. On the bottle here, it says handmade since 1953, made at the Maker's Mark Distillery. This is part of the Jim Beam Suntory company here. So I think that, that this is just such a well-recognized bottle. You can find it anywhere. It's really available. And it's just sort of an iconic bourbon here. And it's got this honey color. It says right here on the bottle, 45% alcohol, so 90 proof. And then if you look up the mash bill online, 70% corn, 16% wheat, 14% barley. And also on here, if you notice, it spells whiskey sort of like the Scottish whiskey. So just sort of an interesting. You don't see many American bourbons with that spelling of whiskey there. So that they've chose to put that on their bottle. So let's get this bad boy opened up here. I left the wax on just so that we could show that here. So I take the wax off, get the bottle opened here, and we'll get this poured. Bad boy, again, Maker's Mark here. Get a nose going a little. I think that you smell some of the sweet coming across. Definitely a lot of vanilla, I think, is very evident, and a lot of caramel. The sweetness comes off right away, and then you get a little bit of that spice. Cinnamon, a little bit of oak. Second taste is similar. Smooth to start, and then definitely spice when it hits you on the finish there. The sweet sort of fades and the spice comes in. Maybe a little bit of a citrus on the finish there, but that's nice. I think that you kind of just know what you're gonna get with Maker's Mark. Like they're just so consistent, I think they're just mixing a lot of barrels here to make sure that the flavor profile every time you buy Maker's Mark, you know what you're gonna get. And certainly with the holidays coming up, you're gonna see a lot of advertising here with Maker's Mark. So this is a good, consistent bourbon. I'd put that up there. For certainly with the value, I think I got this bottle for under $30. So, you put that up there with like a Buffalo Trace, a Four Roses small batch, maybe something like that. So, definitely, you know what you're getting with Maker's Mark, and you got to appreciate like just a solid construction of what they're able to do. So, would recommend. Certainly, I mean, I'm sure not that many of you haven't tried Maker's Mark. It's just sort of one of those bottles that everybody tries. So, but if you haven't, go out there and give it a try. And I appreciate you for checking out the show here. Please like and subscribe. The community continues to grow, and certainly appreciate TJ Ward coming on today. Really a lot of laughs and some very honest and genuine opinions that he shared. So definitely appreciate that. All right, that's going to do it for us for Broncos and Bourbon. I'm Phil Milani.